Okay, so I think we're recording, and today is May 18th, 2016, and we are doing the Gray for a Day training. So just to start off, I think everyone knows me, but if you don't, and for people who might watch this in the future, my name is Erin Yelland, and I'm the Adult Development and Aging Specialist at K-State and K-State Research and Extension. And this is a program that I have developed here recently and got funding from the Academic Excellence funding program through the Office of the Provost to support this. So we currently have several kits built. I think there's 9 total kits that will be distributed throughout the state. I'll be keeping one here on campus that has been already very well used because I've been doing several presentations in different classes. We also have a kit that will go to each area office, and we will have kits that will be distributed throughout the state as well on a first come first serve basis. And we have a couple of those kits already spoken for. So if you are interested in receiving a kit, please just let me know. I know some people are going to be picking them up at August update, and that's totally fine. I have them stored in a location where they're not bothering anybody or anything like that. They're not in the way. So whenever we can get around to distributing those is fine. All right, so like I said, we can use the chat box here to talk throughout the program, and then afterwards we can unmute and have a conversation if we want to do that. So the first thing that I will go through, and I'll just mention that each of these kits is in a large 90-gallon tub. I think they're 90-gallon, but they're pretty large. They're not very heavy, so I can carry it down the hallway. But inside of it is everything that you'll need to do the program, including the binder here that has all of the program materials. So I'm just going to go through the binder and sort of tell you what's in it. The first thing, and I'll Vanna White this to the camera, so you'll see inside we have a little packet, and that's going to include a flash drive that has all of the program materials on it, so you have them electronically available to you. These are also going to make it up on the aging.ksu.edu website eventually, but it is not up there yet, I believe. But in this, you also have the activity station instructions, which are nice and laminated for you, so they hopefully will last a while, and we'll talk about those later. We also have a kit use log. So the purpose of this is to basically keep track of who has used the kit, and there's a space for notes as well. And some of the items in the kits that we're going to be using do need to be thrown away after each use. So eventually we're going to need to replenish certain items. So in that note section, you can say, you know, Erin Yelland used this kit. This is what I used it for, if you want to put that information down. And add notes about we're running low on cotton balls, or we're running low on straws, or something like that. I will note that when we run low on items, it is going to be the responsibility of the counties to replenish those items. None of the items that will need to be replenished are very expensive. We're talking about cotton balls and small plastic straws, popcorn kernels, which I don't foresee those ever running out because we only use a few at a time. And that sort of thing. So it's really not going to be a big expense, but when we start running out of items, it will be the responsibility of the county. And if for some reason you're unable to do that, of course, I'm always willing to help you out, so you can contact me and see if I have funds available to help replenish those. So that's the purpose of the kit use log, just to make sure that we have everything that we need and that we're not running out of items. Then in the binder, of course, you will have your leader's guide, which we will go over. You have the PowerPoint, and there are 2 versions of the PowerPoint and of the evaluation for this program. There's an adult version and an adolescent version, and both of those are in there. And then you have the evaluations. And like I said, there's an adult version of the evaluation and an adolescent version of that as well. And then in the very back is the promotional poster, just to sort of remind you that it's there. And you do have that on your flash drive, so you can go in and make changes to that, including adding your personal information, the date and time of your program, and stuff like that. So I will quickly share my screen. You guys see my little swimmer man? So here's the promotional poster. It is, let's see, the chat, okay. Okay, so this is the promotional poster. It's in a publisher document, so it is editable. So you can put the date, time, and location, and your contact information for the program. So that's available for you to use. X out of that. And now, let's see if it'll show up. Yes, this is the one we want. All right. So those are the materials in general. So we have the binder and we have all the materials and the kits, which we're going to talk about. I've shown you the promotional poster, and of course I mentioned the flash drive, that you have access to all of those materials on that flash drive. So we're going to go through the leader's guide and talk about this program and what it is and why we're doing it, and how to do the program. So this is our leader's guide. It's just 2 pages. So I think it's 2, right? Yes, 2 pages. So it's simple and hopefully straightforward and easy to understand. You can see here that the purpose is to educate participants on age-related sensory and functional challenges that some adults might face. And we're doing that through various simulations that will simulate different things. So daily routines, simple tasks, and leisure or social activities. So really, we're asking our participants to get all dressed up and geared up, as I like to call it, and experience what it's like to have these sensory and functional challenges and declines that some older adults might face. And overall, my main objective, which really isn't listed here, but in my brain, the main objective that I have for this program is to help encourage people to develop empathy toward older adults and to understand why grandma doesn't go as fast through the grocery store anymore, or why older people might be driving more slowly than what they used to, for example. But by understanding the challenges that older adults are facing, it's my belief that we can then encourage people to be more empathetic towards older adults, understand their position, and reduce ageism as well. And that's another topic that we'll mention later on. So our overall objectives are to understand the senses and the functional abilities and how they can decline with age, and we'll talk about that in the PowerPoint presentation. Obviously, to experience this age-related sensory and functional decline through getting all geared up, to understand the influence of sensory and functional decline on daily life, and really understand how, when you have all this gear on, how it can really challenge you and how it can impact your daily life. So something as simple as dosing out your daily medications, which is easier for us in our younger years, might become more difficult when we're not able to see as well anymore. Also, to be encouraged to develop the skills necessary to effectively interact with someone who might be experiencing these challenges and declines. So how do we talk to grandma when she has hearing loss without yelling at her and making her feel uncomfortable, and that sort of thing? And then how do we support someone who might be experiencing age-related sensory and functional decline? So in the community, what can we do when we see an older person struggling to reach something on the grocery store shelf or struggling to understand what the cashier is saying to them? How can we just be good, thoughtful citizens and support older people in our communities? And then the last one is to understand how basically taking care of yourself throughout your life, including adolescence, and talking to adolescents about their health and how it contributes to their overall well-being in later life. And that includes their sensory and functional declines, because we know that many of this damage is caused by environmental factors, which includes making poor choices, not using the proper hearing and eye protection and that sort of thing. So having this opportunity to talk to people about how they take care of themselves now will really influence their well-being in the future. So it's a lot of objectives, but it was really hard to boil it down more than that. All right, so we know about the program. We have these kits that we're doing. We're simulating age-related sensory and functional declines, but how do we do it? So this program can be effectively delivered by one person, but if you have a larger group, and we'll have participants engage in all 3 activity stations that we'll talk about later, having more than one facilitator would really be ideal. And I have done this several times with high schoolers and with college students, and I've facilitated by myself groups of up to 30. But I have also been very engaged in this program and have experience with it, and it's still challenging for me to do 30 students by myself. So it's really important to think about how many students or how many participants you can effectively manage with this program. And as we go on and talk about the program and the activities that we'll be doing, you'll see why it would be important to perhaps have more than one facilitator. So the target audience, it's intended for use with people of all ages and professions. For that reason, there are 2 versions of the PowerPoint and the evaluation. We have the adult version and then the adolescent 4-H version as well. We have done this, or Chucky Hessong has actually done this with employees of her local county hospital. We've done this with college students. We've done this with high school students. And the Adult Development and Aging PFT will be doing this program at Discovery Days next month. So we feel that it's really applicable to a broad range of audiences, and we've had great success with every audience that we've done it with so far. So I've mentioned that we need perhaps multiple facilitators, and the group size really is limited to 30, and that's simply because the number of materials that we have in the kits only support 30 people. So for example, one of the items that we need for the program are gloves, and we only have 30 pairs of gloves in each kit. We also have glasses, for example, and we only have 30 pairs of each glass, 30 pairs of glasses in each kit. So really, we cannot go over 30 with the amount of materials that we have in each kit. That being said, as I've mentioned before, doing 30 people by yourself is a lot. So we suggest to try and keep your audiences smaller. And if you are going to do a larger audience, make sure that you have multiple facilitators. All right. So the program length, this can be given in 60 minutes. I've done it in less, but 60 minutes really is ideal because we have all these different activities. But you can, oh my goodness. It says your free meeting will end in 10 minutes. Ah! Well, let's go for 10 minutes and then see what happens. All right, so 60 minutes, but the overall lesson can be shortened if you take away activities. So we currently have 3 different activity stations that our participants can do. If you have less time, maybe you just want to do 1 or 2 activity stations. So it is flexible, but in order to do the full program, I would strongly suggest having 60 minutes to do it in. All right. So the next step in the facilitator's guide or the leader's guide here is the program materials, and this lists what each kit includes. So all of these items are in each kit. So the leader's materials, we have the leader's guide, the PowerPoint presentation, and the script, and the evaluations. The participant materials, cotton balls, masking tape, popsicle sticks, gloves, earplugs, popcorn kernels, glasses, straw, and yarn. And then the activity station materials are listed there. And all of these items are in each kit, and they are all, I have attempted to label them, and obviously you know what popcorn kernels are, so I didn't label those, but everything's pretty well labeled, and it should be easy to understand. For the activity station materials, in each box there is a box of whiteboards, and in that box are markers and erasers as well. So these are all in one kit. There's a construction headset with a radio function, and you'll be able to point that out easily. And then the laminated instruction sheet, which is located in the leader's binder. For the medication section, we have 10 bags of medications, and there's 5 bottles and 1 pill box in each. And I have an example of that. If you look over to the side at my little face, if you have that up there, you can see we'll have 10 gallon Ziploc baggies with the pill box and then the 5 bottles of medication. And then for the Go Fish station, we have the 2 decks of cards in each kit as well. I will note that we are doing activities that simulate all of the 5 sensory losses except for taste. And that's because the taste activities obviously require something to taste. And in order to make sure that these kits are sustainable and that sort of thing, I didn't include anything in the kit. So it is an optional activity to do a taste sensory challenge. And one thing that we've done with the college students here is we've bought mints, for example. So the leader's guide says chocolate kiss candies, but you can use something else. So we bought 2 different kinds of Lifesavers mints, and we had them try and guess what flavor it was. And many of them could hardly even taste the mint once they had their sense of smell reduced and that sort of thing. But you can also get chocolate kiss candies and just ask them how it tastes different than what they're used to, because it should taste differently when they have a reduced sense of smell. Or you could get different flavors of chocolate kiss candies and unwrap them and see if they can tell what flavor they got. You can really make it as challenging or as easy as you want to, or you can just leave it out if you don't want to purchase those items or if you don't have time to do it. So in preparing for your lesson, obviously the first thing that you need to do is decide whether or not you're doing the adult audience or the adolescent 4-H audience. I really haven't given specific age groups for these different programs because I think you guys are the ones who know your audience best. If you think that your older 4-Hers, for example, are able to understand and comprehend the adult version, then use the adult version. It's really up to you, and I haven't, like I said, haven't given specific ages for each program. The adolescent 4-H version is a little more simplified. The evaluation is a little more simplified, so that's really the only difference. So your next step would obviously to be review the program and ask your questions, learn the space, and this is important because it is best suited to do this program if you're able to break the space up into 3 stations. Now, in some cases, this has been very easy for me to do, and in others, it's been a little more challenging, but we're still able to do it. So, for example, when I did this at a high school, we were able to they had big, large tables that they all sat around. They didn't have the individual desks. So we grouped the 3 table stations together, and they each had a big station. But in the college classrooms with the small desks that have the little flappy, table thingy, I'm not sure what that's called, that they write on, you know, those are a lot more difficult to group together and to make these stations. So we sort of adapted to our space, and we had one station sitting on the floor, we had another station up on a counter by the window, so you can really adapt the space and use it as you need to, but I really suggest knowing your space before you go into the program so that you can sort of scope it out and figure out how you're going to work with the activity stations. The next thing, obviously, you want to check the sensory aging kit to make sure that you have everything you need and make sure you have the evaluations. So with the program set up, there's two ways that you can do it. You can either set all of the materials out for each person. So in front of each person's chair, you can set out the items listed here. So give them a cotton ball, their popsicle sticks, their gloves, and all of that so that when they come into the room, they have their materials there. The other option would be to sort of do it buffet style and have them walk through the line and pick up all of the materials that they need. Obviously, I prefer to have the material set out for them when they arrive. But for example, when I've done this with the college students, we've done this in back-to-back classes, and that wasn't always possible. So we had to do more of a buffet style, which takes a little bit of time. So you have to consider that when you're thinking about your overall time frame for the program. So, yes, and then you can set up your activity stations and make sure that you have the materials set out where you're going to have each station so that when it's time to go to the activity stations, you don't have to mess with any of that in the middle of the program. The program procedure, as with my other programs with Keys to Embracing Aging and the Alzheimer's program, the script is located in the PowerPoint notes section and really tells you a lot of information that you can talk about and gives you some extra resources. For the evaluations, both the adult and the adolescent version have an evaluation. These are going to be put up onto KPIX soon. I have not gotten them up there yet. So you can put them on KPIX yourself. However, if you are swamped and you don't have time to do it, or KPIX isn't your friend that day, whatever the case may be, you can either email me the scanned copies or hard copy, mail them to me, and I can have a student enter them into KPIX for us, which isn't that big of a deal because I already have some students working on, obviously, the Keys to Embracing Aging evaluations and the Alzheimer's evaluations. So it wouldn't be a whole lot of extra work, but if you are unable to get them into KPIX or it would just be easier to send them off, that's totally fine. I would much rather receive the evaluation than it get lost in your trash can or under a desk or something, which happens all the time with my stuff in my own office. So, so that's that. So that is the leader's guide. And then next we will go into the PowerPoint. So like I said, all of the notes are down here for you to use. And I am just going to walk you through the presentation now. I won't go into too much detail because I know that you guys are more than capable of reading and understanding and adding your own touch to this presentation. So just to walk you through it and sort of give you a glimpse of what the program's like. So we start talking about the senses, and most people know what these are. Maybe perhaps our younger audiences